still
yes, you can feel it.
I got
Put your hand on your computer. Put your hand on your computer. You can feel it. I know you can.
Baby. Oh, baby. I like it a beat. I like it a beat.
I got to go back to something here. I saw something earlier in the chat. This guy, Steve Ikes, New Mexico Life, says, my enchiladas are better than any restaurant. Ooh, that's pretty good. I just made me think I had a flashback. My wife's enchiladas are off the chart. And I agree. You know, I don't know about Steve, and I know my wife spoils me. See, here, I love to bring up food every now and then.
Oh, you do?
Oh, just occasionally. Here's what happens. You cook your foods a certain way. You like certain seasonings in your foods. Mm-hmm. When you go to restaurants, and I'm talking about 5-star restaurants, you hear all the rave reviews. The food is great, yada, yada, yada. You know, most of those reviews probably come from people that eat out more than they cook at home. Because, see, what happens is when you grow up in a family, in your case, an Italian family, in my case, since I'm 19, I've been a part of a Mexican family as well as Black heritage family. We have certain seasonings and tastes that we like. And when you go out to a restaurant, you can't wait to get a good meal. It doesn't taste the same. Mm-hmm. You're spoiled. See, you spoiled yourself because whereas they're cooking in mass quantities and trying to get it out in a hurry, and the food is good, and a lot of places is good, it's like it doesn't taste the same because your palate is so used to what you're getting at home. And I'm assuming you're the same way, being an expert Italian cooker that you are. That you have certain ingredients and recipes that you use that restaurants just don't. And while you may come away saying, that was a pretty good meal, you're always comparing it to what you grew up having or what you cook yourself. And you come away somewhat disappointed.
Yeah, which is why I always walk into it with that. Like if I'm out like with my wife's family or whatever, and they choose an Italian restaurant, whatever, in my head, I'm always going to compare it, but I always also set the bar. Like set my expectation. This isn't going to be my Aunt Angie's, lasagna. This isn't going to be her gnocchi. This isn't going to be my father's meatballs. It's not going to be like, so like we have that kind of thing. If you grew up eating a particular food, you're going to have that expectation, but you got to make sure that when you go out and you order something similar, it's not going to be on the same level. So you always have to put it like that. But it's funny you say that, because my wife has a lot of family in Colorado, and we'll go out and we'll visit in Colorado. There's a lot of people, and the toughest, like it's Colorado. So they're literally on like, I think it's a 60 acre ranch with horses and cattle, and they have a lake and all this stuff. And so to go to a restaurant with like 20, 30 people is a difficult thing. So a lot of times I've gone out there and I've just cooked, and I love doing it. I'm used to cooking for a lot of people. But when I make meatballs, or I make braciole, for instance, right? Like basically the meatball wrapped in a steak kind of thing. When I make that they're like blown away, because you're not getting anything like that authentically ethnic in any place. So I wonder if it's the same thing with the enchiladas?
Enchiladas. See, Steve just added also, Steve Ikes from New Mexico. I learned from my ex's I can never say Spanish, abuelita, which is like grandmother, old school enchiladas. And that's the way my wife's family is, man. They have these old school recipes and techniques. They cook in the old, the cast iron old skillets and stuff like that when you cook it. And there's something in the taste and the quality that's just not equaled in restaurants. And, a lot of restaurants now, they've cut back on seasonings, for health reasons. A lot of people can't have a lot of salts, and a lot of people can't, stomach a lot of, spicy seasonings and things like that. So I get it. And they put the condiments on the table, and you can add what you want to add here and there. But it's just not the same, man.
You know what it's called, Gunner? And I'm not being facetious when I say this. I'm not being cute. What? I mean it. They're not putting the number one ingredient in it.
Love.
Love, baby. Love. They made it with love. They made it with every ounce of love, and that's what it is.
But restaurants are mass production.
Exactly. Where's the love? There's no love.
When your place is packed, when you think about this, when you cook with love, it takes you a little bit longer to do what you want to do because you want to make sure it's right.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You don't have that kind of leeway, because I worked in a restaurant. You don't have that kind of leeway. You're late. You bought. Hey, what's the hold up here? Why aren't you getting the foods out faster? So always you leave something out. Yeah.
Absolutely. I won't use the slap chop. The slap chop. That thing. My wife likes to use it. I don't use it. You know why? Because my grandma didn't use that. Why am I going to use that? I'm not using that. I like to cut the garlic. I like to slice the garlic. I like to get the rhythm down. I like to play the theme song, the sports take. I was like, just slice the garlic and slice the garlic. You know what I'm saying?
And the dishes pile up, and you're sitting there going, I ain't washing this mess. But you're doing it anyway. You got to do it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to give you a helpful hint. I swear, I'm going to give you a helpful hint here. This is for everyone. Anyone can use this in the kitchen, Gunner, even you, even the missus. When you go shopping, you get your groceries and all that stuff, you come back home. What I do is I take one of the plastic bags that you could, if you still get plastic bags at the grocery store or whatever, I take those and I put them around like the handles on the cabinets that's right off the island where I'll do my chopping. Yep. And I just take all the trash, slide it right into there. I don't miss a beat. Slide all the trash right there. It's right there for you. Just bag it up when you're done. Throw it away. You're good to go. Just a little helpful hint. Just a little helpful hint from my kitchen to yours.
You know what? I appreciate. I wrote that down, by the way.
Hey, Gunner. I have a unique take for you.
Okay.
And it's centered around something that a lot of people discuss and a lot of people get angry with. And it has to do with our old friend Chris Sims. Now, I know you and Rob talked about this yesterday, but bottom line is he's been disrespected. Jalen Hurts has been disrespected 2 years in a row now by Chris Sims. One, what was he last year? Like 37 or something? What was Jalen Hurts?
40th?
He barely made the list. So that was disrespectful. But in a way, I get it simply because he hadn't proven himself yet. He gets in the MVP category in his second year as a starting quarterback, takes his team to the Super Bowl. And where does he rank him?
With a less than 100% shoulder.
Playing with a bionic arm. To the Super Bowl, okay? 7th on this list.
Yep.
Now, here's the thing. I think that's disrespectful. I think he's better than Trevor Lawrence. I think he's better than Lamar Jackson. I think he's a top 3 quarterback in the NFL right now. I think you got to give a lot of credit to the obvious when it comes to Patrick Mahomes. And then I think Joe Burrow is great, and I think Jalen Hurts is great, but I put Jalen Hurts above Joe Burrow due to the fact that he's just coming off the runner-up to the MVP and also going to a Super Bowl.
I think Chris does it for effect. You know, I believe if Jalen Hurts is playing for the Giants, Jalen will probably be number 3 on the list, hands down.
Okay.
But I think number 1, he has a certain disdain for Philadelphia. And number 2, he's just not willing to admit. How do you know, well, he didn't throw for enough touchdown pass. Well, he counted for 35. Yeah. I don't care how you get in the end zone. The bottom line, name of the game is put the ball in the end zone. Mm-hmm. Okay. And he did that. You know, I said to Rob yesterday, I will go back and forth between Jalen and Josh Allen at number 3. And Josh Allen had a down year, but I have to give Josh Allen a mulligan because he didn't have Brian Daboll seeing the field for him. You know, It was his first year. You look at what he did with Brian Daboll at the helm, and all of a sudden he had to get used to another set of eyes and ears a year after Daboll left. And you could tell he wasn't quite the same. But Josh Allen is a phenomenal talent as well. That dude's arm is as strong as anybody's in the National Football League. But his numbers were not the same as they were the previous year. But I think if you're just going to base it on last year's performance overall across the board, there's no question Jalen Hurts should have been number 3 on that list. And we can now people say, well, you're biased because you're Philadelphia Packers. Okay, maybe. But if you're being honest with yourself and if you're just looking at quarterback play across the board and what Jalen Hurts meant to his offense and did for his offense compared to the other quarterbacks in the league, other than the quarterbacks named Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, there's no question Jalen Hurts should have been right behind those 2.
Mm-hmm. All right. I agree on all that. Now here's my unique take. All right. We're getting trolled, folks. We're getting trolled by Chris Sims. There's a lot of money in trolling Philadelphia. Now, is Philadelphia an extremely passionate sports city? Absolutely. Yes. Boston is very passionate. New York, yes. Of all the people there, just the market itself, yes, there are the passionate fans there. There's a lot of passionate fans. But Philadelphia is next level up. Next level up when it comes to fan bases that can be trolled because we are so passionate that we will fly off the handle. And there's not as many clicks, folks. There's not as many views, folks, in telling us how great our teams are. You know where there are a lot of clicks? You know where there are a lot of views? It is when you tell us we suck or we get disrespected. Yep. And disrespecting our quarterback as the number 7 on the list of all the quarterbacks in the NFL, To say that he is 7th, not even cracking the top 5, not even cracking the top 3, not even cracking the top 2, is wildly disrespectful to a great quarterback in Jalen Hurts that deserves all the accolades and praise. An all-pro quarterback, by the way. He deserves everything he can get when it comes to praise. To say he doesn't and to downgrade him to a top 7 quarterback, oh, that'll infuriate the fan base of Philadelphia. And you know what we'll do, Gunner? You know what we'll do as a fan base? Click, 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 click. View. Comment. There's a lot of money.
Curse.
It's a lot of money in cursing. But of all that, if you piss off Philadelphia, you will have our attention more so than any fan base out there. So I think wholeheartedly here's what I know. I know there's a lot of money in trolling Philly because if you get eyeballs and attention these days, you make money off of it. You get attention, and that drives up views and clicks and all that stuff. So if you troll us, you will have our attention, you'll have our eyeballs, you'll have our ears, and we will let you know it. So when it comes to disrespect, it's not just about whether or not Jalen Hurts needs to work harder to be the top 3 on Chris Sims's list of top 40. It's simply about, okay, well, wait a minute. Yeah, he's probably better than Lamar. He's probably better than Trevor Lawrence. But if I put him up there, it won't get as much attention than if I put him in the top 7, where you could kind of argue that he's the 7th best. I don't believe it, but you can make an argument for it. If I piss off and respect it, I'm going to get attention for it.
I don't see how you put Justin Herbert ahead of Jalen Hurts. I really don't.
I don't get it. I don't get it even a little bit.
I don't get how you put him. Now, the Ravens fans will say, well, you know what? Lamar's won an MVP, but Jalen hasn't. Lamar won that MVP as much as running for 1,000 yards as he did throwing the football. He's not a better overall signal caller than Jalen Hurts. Lamar Jackson is a phenomenal athlete, but he's an erratic player as well. Jalen Hurts is consistent across the board. Even when he makes mistakes, he minimizes his mistakes. You look at how few mistakes he makes when the ball's in his hands. Okay, he had the fluke. He dropped the ball in the Super Bowl. He hadn't done it all season long, basically. Okay, it happens. Fluke things happen. Everybody's human. You have those human moments, okay? But look at what he did after that, how he bounced back and almost willed that team to win, against Kansas City in that game as well. I don't know if Lamar Jackson could have done that after, stumbling the way he does sometimes. And Lamar Jackson makes up a lot of his deficiencies with his legs, which he can stop. He's going to have to stop counting on because look at the injuries he's sustained over the last couple of years. Now he's going to have to develop himself as a pure passer. Now, can he do it? Now, the Ravens went out and got some pass catchers for him. Let's see if he can do it. But in terms of just saying Lamar's a better quarterback than Jalen, no, you're wrong because you're not you're adding up all the intangibles that go into being a quarterback in the National Football League.
Mm-hmm.
And if he gotten hurt, he'd have been right there neck and neck with Patrick Mahomes for the MVP honors. Now, a lot of people felt that, Hurts, if he hadn't gotten hurt and missed those 2 games, he'd have won the MVP. And I have said, to be honest, because it is politics involved as well, I think Patrick Mahomes is going to win that MVP no matter what. Mm-hmm. Because he's Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes, let's face it, Patrick Mahomes is the darling of the NFL right now. Patrick Mahomes can do no wrong. Everybody watches Patrick Mahomes for a wow factor because of all the antics he does and excels at it. They don't teach you to throw the ball underhanded behind your back, to look one way and throw the ball across the field and complete a pass on a frozen rope. This kid is like next level. And to be honest, there's Patrick Mahomes and there's every other quarterback in the National Football League. Then you start separating all the other quarterbacks behind Mahomes. Mahomes has earned that right. Look what this kid's done at the age of 27. 2-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time MVP. He's throwing for 5,000 yards a year. Last year he did it with he broke the NFL single season passing record with a bunch of cast-offs from other teams. Okay?
Incredible. Undisputed.
Marquez, Valdez, Scanling. They had dudes walking off the street catching passes from this dude. And he still broke the NFL passing record or got close to it. Mm-hmm. And won a Super Bowl again.
With a 7th round quarterback or a running back.
7th round running back. A collection of running backs who would be role players on other teams. Now, granted, he has the elite of the elite when it comes to tight ends, and he has a pretty doggone good offensive line that can move people off the ball, as we saw that second half of the Eagles game in the Super Bowl. But Patrick Mahomes is in a category by himself right now.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. But I'll say this about Jalen Hurts, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree. And this goes back to the contract, and it goes back to also just where you would rank him throughout the entire NFL when it comes to quarterbacks. And in this case, the top 40. But for me, Gunnar, when I looked at his contract, I don't think there's ever been an athlete in Philadelphia sports that I've ever looked at that gotten top dollar, like more money than anybody had ever gotten at that position. I don't think there's anyone I've been more confident in terms of ability, work ethic, and what he can achieve in that contract. Like sometimes you'll see the big contract and be like, I hope he lives. Like in baseball, you can look at a guy like Trey Turner right now. Can he live up to $300 million? Well, I'm not sure. I know he's better than what we've seen so far. But Jalen Hurts essentially getting what it boils down to, what, 3 years, $110 million guaranteed, fully guaranteed, right? Worth it. Absolutely 1,000% worth it. I know that in those 3 years, Jalen Hurts is not going to be the problem. He's not going to be a head case. He's not going to be somebody that doesn't get out of his own way. I know at the quarterback position, if you're giving a guy like that money right now, I know he's going to be worth it. Will everything else fall into place around him? That will remain to be seen. But in terms of the confidence of giving that kind of money to this player, I've never been more confident in seeing a big number like that attached to a player like this.
I agree with you, but I would say the only other player I can remember would be Bryce Harper.
Okay. All right. Taking the Phillies to the next level. Sure.
That's in terms of, wow, that's a lot of money, but Bryce Harper will live up to expectations. He did last year. Obviously, he got stonewalled with the elbow injury this year, but right. Bryce Harper is swinging the bat well. I would say Bryce Harper is the only other athlete, but you're right. When it came to Jalen Hurts getting that money, it was a matter of how much is he going to get, because you knew he was going to be the highest paid player in the league, even though it was temporary, because other quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, they're all going to just keep leapfrogging over each other. Mm-hmm. But for that moment in time, he was a guy that said, you know what, Jalen, you're worth everything. What you just did last season, you're worth every dollar that the Philadelphia Eagles are willing to pay you. Mm-hmm. And he will continue to strive to be better than he is each and every game, each and every season. That's the kind of ethic that he has behind him. I have no problem with Jalen Hurts being the right quarterback for the Eagles, being the so-called franchise quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. No question about it. Yeah. Because of what this guy is so far above and beyond his 24 years of age, it's scary. We talk about it. Barrett and Rob and I, we talk about it all the time. Think about what you were like at 24, the knucklehead you were like at 24. Think about it. Okay, time's up.
No, but you're right. You're right. To give that money to a guy like that, here's what I don't like betting against ever. Guys with great work ethics and guys that have great talent. I think he's got great talent and he's got a great work ethic. You can't bet against those guys because those guys can still surprise the people that are doubting him. And I think Jalen Hurts did a great job at the Super Bowl of summing up his whole mindset. Like, I had a purpose before anybody had an opinion.
Yep.
Good for you, man. Good for you. Keep riding it out. And you know what? I still hope, because the 2017-2018 Philadelphia Eagles, I think, not that any people, still people needed a little bit of this to be proven. They proved that they hear the headlines. They know they're the underdogs. They embrace the hell out of that. And I remember asking Doug Peterson about that. He said, we don't hear the noise. Yeah, okay. Lane Johnson was walking around in a dog mask. I think you hear the noise. And he then said that no one gave him a chance and that everyone was doubting him and no one believed in him. And they rode that as motivation all the way to a Super Bowl win. Jalen Hurts had a lot of doubters saying he's not going to take a leap forward. This is the way he is. The way he is in his first year as a starter is exactly how he'll be in the second year as a starter. But he put in the work. He certainly put in the study. And he came out 1,000 times better quarterback than what we saw last year. So I see a guy that's going to continue to take those steps forward in his career. Now, there might not be as much of a ceiling in front of him now because it's hard to get higher than Super Bowl and MVP runner-up. The only way you do that is by getting the MVP or getting the Super Bowl ring.
Right.
So he's still got room, but it's not as much room to grow under that ceiling.
The one thing that makes me chuckle when it comes to athletes, when they tell you, is, oh, I don't hear the noise, or the coaches, I don't hear the noise. Really? Because then you come out with your T-shirts, and then you come out with your mask, and, you know, maybe players don't watch TV, listen to other people's podcasts, watch the news, but I guarantee you they have a close circle of people around them, whether it's a mother, father, friends, who hey, man, did you hear what so-and-so just said about you on TV? They know everything that goes on. And I've talked to so many players that will tell you under the breath, even though they tell a bunch of people with microphones in your faces, yeah, D-Gun, we know what's going on. Of course they know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they know the deal.
No,
they know the deal.
There's no question about it. They know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because even if they try to seclude themselves from it, somebody's going to mention it to them. You know, you can't get away from it, especially since the advent of social media. You can't get away from this stuff now. Mm-hmm. You know, so yes, some use it. Some players will tell you, I don't need extra motivation. My motivation is I have a chance, a once-in-a-lifetime chance to play a professional sport and get paid handsomely for it. Mm-hmm. That's all the motivation I need, because I know this is temporary. This is not forever. So I'm here to maximize my money-making ability for as much as I can for as long as I can. And other athletes, which is nothing wrong with this, other athletes need that bulletin board material to get them fired up. Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with that, because if you play at the highest level, then I'm trying to stoke your fire every week, if that's what it takes to get you to play to the best of your ability. If you're a Pro Bowl athlete consistently and you look for little tidbits to get you jacked up, whether it's a battle against a certain teammate in practice every day, whether it's a coach bird dogging you every day, whether it's bulletin board material, whatever it takes to get you to your highest level mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, I don't care what it is. If that's the case, I'm all for it.
Three things came to mind when I saw Chris Sims' list and where Jalen Hurts was. The number one thing was, well, he's wrong. He's better than 7. He's wrong. That's stupid. The other thing was not all praise. You know what? Good in that regard. For the motivating factor of it, for not everyone still believes in me. Somebody is still doubting me. I did all this, and I cracked the top 40 in year 1, and now in year 2, I'm top 7. I still think I'm better than top 7, but it's not, oh, you're still the greatest thing ever. So 1 was wrong. 2 was the idea that not everyone is lavishing praise. There's still some criticism. And then the other thing is the unique take I told you before. It's just that we're being trolled, Gunner. There's a lot of money in trolling Philadelphia because people know we love to react. You know what? Here's how I'll describe it.
Well, let me ask you this.
What?
Are you speaking as an objective journalist or a passionate Philadelphia fan who grew up here and embraces the history and the culture and the disrespect of the Philadelphia sports culture here?
Okay.
I put you on the spot, my friend, and asked you that question.
Oh, I'm on the spot, and I revel in the spot, my friend. Gunner, I am a local product who had the great fortune of traveling around for 11 years, listening to people that make decisions on a big stage when it comes to the sports scene in our country. And I know what they think about Philadelphia. And I know what they think about our fan base.
I do too.
And as do you. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. So I'm only saying that so it's not just, a kid from Ambler, Doylestown making this statement now. It's listening to it and having what I had already thought, having it more or less confirmed. And it's not just Philadelphia. People know how to troll Boston. People know how to troll New York. But when you troll Philly is that guy at the party that every once in a while, you can have fun with them and you can have a good time. But the minute somebody speaks out of turn that you don't know, like they start breaking your stones, you're like, you don't know me that well to break my stones. Philly's the first person to be like, all right, let's go. That's the person at the party we can be. And when you poke us or troll us, like Chris Sims is doing now, you're going to get our attention.
And that's what he wanted. He got exactly what he wanted.
Exactly. It's a great troll job.
He got his notoriety, and because his list is a topic of conversation across sports platforms across the country. Mm-hmm. I equate Philadelphia sports fans to family. We can talk about our brothers and sisters all day long, but if you talking about my brother or sister, we got a problem. We got a major problem. And that's the way the Philadelphia fan base is. Mm-hmm. We can talk about each other all day because it's us. but you don't know us. You have no right to be talking about us or disrespecting us like that. You know, and that's why I asked you the question. Are you speaking from a passionate tone or are you in a journalistic tone? Because they're two different tones. If you're journalistic, you're more objective and you're trying to give grace. When you're speaking as a passionate fan, you take it personal. It's like somebody threw tomato sauce on your clean white shirt.
No, it's definitely not, because it's strategic. And I think that's what makes my decision more objective, because I'm looking at the strategy behind. If I'm Chris Sims and I'm Chris Sims' boss, for instance, I want my list to get more attention than anything.
Right.
So the objective is to get the attention. The strategy to get that is, I think, to troll Philadelphia. I think that's part of it. Because Jalen Hurts to not be in a top 3 is bonkers to me.
I like what our producer Tone said. When I saw him put Daniel Jones at number 11, immediately this list became invalid. That's plain and simple.
Tone, well said. By the way, I'm seeing it.
It's a conversation piece. It's his conversation piece, and he's getting notoriety for it because I'm sure more people are lambasting him than they are praising him for the structure. But that's exactly what he wanted. All he cared. I mean, think about it. How many people in prominent positions do and say things? People in our medium, and I'm not going to say any names, but right here in Philadelphia, I can think of a couple of people in our medium, radio, TV, print, that put stuff out there on Twitter every day just to get a response.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they get and the thing, here's the thing that always just cracks me up. When they get the response to something they put out there, most of the people put on there, dude, I know you're just trying to get a response out of me, but you still respond.
Yeah,
they got
we still get
exactly
comments.
what they wanted.
Here's what I hate about this day and age, Gunner. All right, I'm gonna sound like a crotchety old man here, but here's what I hate about what we have championed as a society. Intelligence doesn't matter anymore. We reward stupidity. We can see crazy, stupid things, and then we talk about them, we dissect them, we break them down. We just talked about Chris Sims' stupid list, but we reward the stupidity with attention because the attention is where the money comes in.
Of course, my friend.
What are we doing, Gunner? Save our society, Gunner.
Society's out of whack, brother. It's never going to be reeled in again. Never going to be reeled in again. What we live today is only going to get worse in the future.
All right, we're going to get a little heavy in the upcoming segment, but we're also going to have some fun with some baseball. I mentioned earlier, around the world, literally around the world, we got football to talk about, not the American football, but football, the international game. We got the golf world making conversation all of a sudden. What? And Philadelphia Flyers might actually be doing something good. I can't believe it. And the Phillies have a 4-game winning streak that I am enjoying immensely. All that and more